We finally found out what Grant Cardone is doing with EXP. The CFPB is reversing their flexible pandemic policies, and an awesome feel-good story from a Drexel student helping out food banks. We're going to talk about it next on Toole Time. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Tymon, and we are back on Toole Time with some really interesting news. Kind of like the mystery of the EXP thing finally was revealed. Yep. Awesome feel-good story at the end here. But let's start off with EXP and Grant Cardone. So, this news came out. He's joining EXP Realty, and no one knew what he was going to do. Right. But now it's out. He's going to be doing some training, sales training stuff. He's going to be doing some training materials. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I think it's a really great incentive and add-on to people that join the team. That's going to be some great knowledge, some great information that he's going to be passing along that's going to be included to them. I think it makes sense. It's kind of earlier when things were coming out and there was some chatter that he was going to be doing something. It makes sense that this would be the piece that he would be bringing to the table. But exciting to have it, out and official.
Well, yeah, and I think, he has this whole story of don't buy a house. So it was very interesting to me that he's aligning with a residential real estate brokerage, right? So this is a good move by EXP. That's a value add. You look at the coaching landscape right now. We coach with Tom Ferry. We have some other advisors. We have a Boomtown coach, all these people we talk to, and we spend a lot of money on coaching. Right. So if an agent can come in and plug into that, now, if they're going to use it, are they going to implement it? That's always the question. Sure. But that's a great resource to have. He has that the 10X event down at Miami Marlins Stadium, and he makes a lot of money for Cardone University. So to me, this is a great move for EXP, and it's going to add some value to their agents, especially the ones that don't have a lot of training, which is 90% of real estate agents in general anyway. Sure. Yeah, I think it's like you said, a great value add, and will people use it? We'll see, but really great to have it there. Well, when you look at the landscape right now, because all these brokerages are just competing with each other nonstop, this is a tangible value add. It's not sure. Hey, we got the best tech, because everyone says that, right? Right. Or, hey, we got the best this. This is, hey, we've got coaching and a training program you have to purchase otherwise, and we provide it to you. And to me, that's really delivering a lot of value. And that's what I like the most about this. And any successful agent, how many trainings do we have a week? Now, you don't have to go to all of them, but Three, yeah. We have 3, right? 3 trainings a week, right? Yeah. And then for our new agents, we have 4 because they're a little newer, a little different. So the point is, that's how much I believe in training. And if you commit to learning and understanding the business, you're going to sell a lot more houses. You've been with us a couple of years now. It's a big difference between walking in as a new agent versus having a couple of years worth of training. Absolutely, yeah. The training's very important. Well, and because most of these people don't, and 87% of the realtors fail, right? So that's what happens. So this is a good move for EXP. I don't know how many times we can say that, but it's a thumbs up on our end. So on the more interesting story, I would say interesting because there's a lot of moving parts here. The CFPB, so the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, they reversed all their pandemic flexibilities and are going to start enforcing things. Because when the pandemic hit about a year ago, and this is effective on April 1st, so that when the pandemic hit a year ago, you could kick out your mortgage payment. You could, I can't even think of the word right now. What was it called? I feel like an idiot. But you desktop appraisals, all these things where people didn't have to go into properties, and they made it a lot easier. So what do you think about all this? Yeah, I think that it is time now to re-tighten up on some of these things. We've had a year to implement some different strategies and figure out how to make all the pieces come together. And I think on the appraisal side in particular, it's going to be important being able to actually get in there and do the appraisals, not from a desktop, not quite as remotely, but just given the way that the market's going and how important that appraisal piece is to the process right now, I think the more thorough that an appraiser can be with it, the better. Well, how many times have we dealt with a bad appraisal? Yeah, a lot. Yeah. And this goes on all the time, and these guys get scored. There are some controls, but the problem is when you're not allowed to go inside the house. I don't care what anyone says. Nick is a great photographer. He can make some great homes look even better, and he can make some really bad homes look great. Yeah. But when you actually see the property, to me, that's such an important thing. And right now, one of the biggest challenges in the market for buyers is what?
appraisal.
Well, and like making up the difference. So they're buying
Yeah.
a home for 500, and hey, guess what? If it doesn't appraise at that, you got to come up with another $25,000-$30,000.
Right.
I mean, there's got to be some sort of better way to do this here, and I like that they're done with the flexibility on appraisals, and these people should have had time to adapt by now. I mean,
Right.
It's been a year, and most businesses are back open. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot that close, and I'm not making light of that. That's really tough for a lot of people. The people that haven't, I mean, you've had a year to figure this out.
Yeah.
And when bad things happen, no matter what goes on, like you got to come up with like a backup plan, right?
Sure.
I mean, so I certainly feel for the people that are in financial straits here, but it's been a year. Like it's not
Right.
like, I mean, you're sitting around crying in your sweatpants all day. That's not going to help anybody.
Right. And I do feel like it's very important, particularly on the appraisal piece, to have them to get back out there, and that is going to make a difference.
Yeah, and then also too, I mean, like the lender flexibility, I mean, that's all going to be gone too. So like the lenders not having to be as invasive, I mean, and like the leniency for loan modifications and reporting to financial institutions. At some point, you got to start paying your bills. I mean,
Right.
even with like the renters that were able to like live rent free, basically, the landlords still had to pay their mortgage.
Right.
So I mean, it's not like this. It's not like it's a free ride here. I mean, someone is paying that bill.
Right.
And I'm all for helping people. I mean, we talk about that a lot, and we certainly back it up with what we do. But ultimately, you got to pay your bills.
Right. And we have had, time now to try and figure things out. And there's obviously like extenuating circumstances for different people, and there always will be. But it sounds like they're tightening up, and they've set some deadlines, and they're ready to kind of move forward.
Well, yeah, and we were as restricted as anybody. I mean, this time
Sure.
last year, I mean, we talked pretty regularly during the shutdown because we were working together, and I mean, that was stressful.
tough.
Like that was hard when you're told you can't go do your job. So I get all that because it happened to us. And what did we do? We didn't sit around. We had like a game plan every day. I mean, we were working every day, even though some realtors said, "Oh, you can't work and return emails," which was not true.
Right.
But we were working every day, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Whether it was just calling people, seeing how they're doing, putting content out. So I mean, there's plenty of time to adapt. Is my point. So I think it's probably a little overdue, if you ask me.
Sure.
But now that the vaccine's a little more robust, I mean, they're talking about April 19th. Everyone in Pennsylvania can go get the vaccine. Sarah's pregnant. She already got her shot. So
Woo-hoo.
it's, I mean, like that's as much of a part of this as anything else. I think it's, hopefully by like May or so, it looks like the majority of people are going to be vaccinated. So I think that's probably goes in hand with what the CFPB is proposing here.
Absolutely.
All right. This is a really cool story.
Yeah. This
So,
one's nice.
Evan Ellers, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. He is a Drexel student, and he founded this company called Sharing Excess. It's a student-run food rescue program that delivers 100,000 pounds of food to people in Philadelphia each week. So why don't you talk a little bit about this? I think that the business plan, and he's not making money on this. This is I'm doing good for the community. But the
Sure.
plan here and the ingenuity to me is amazing on the way this is being handled, like what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, there is a lot of food waste, and there's also a lot of food insecurity. So he was able to kind of line up those two pieces and kind of bring them together, because obviously, food waste, food insecurity. let's solve some issues
Why did
here.
someone come up with this sooner? I mean,
know.
that is a good point. I think that's really relevant here.
Yeah, so like between restaurants that maybe over-ordered and had food that was going to have to just get thrown out, or grocery stores, or just different places where food was going to go to waste, he was able to actually kind of come up with a game plan for going and picking up that food and bringing it to his nonprofit and then getting it distributed, where some larger nonprofits that maybe had the same types of goals didn't have like they weren't able to just go and pick up the food. And this is a lot of like young, energetic college kids that were like, yeah, let's do it. And they were out physically driving around, picking up the food, putting the pieces in place. And they've now, I think, just come out with an app that's going to help streamline some stuff even more. So it was really a great idea, something that makes a lot of sense and takes two problems and pulls together a solution.
Well, and what's really interesting is, any business, and I'm not saying this is a business, but anyone has a business mind, you solve a problem, you got a business. Like, that's literally how simple it is. And they had like a lot of food swipes left over from their meal plan, and I don't know about you, I would always have those left over when I was in college, like decades ago, unfortunately. But it was so, and they're like, oh, let's donate it. And there's so many people that, like, you think about I don't know about you. I feel like I throw out a little too much food at my
Sure.
house. Like, I mean, my kids ask for something and they don't eat it, and I'm like, great. And the fact that they were smart enough to come up with this, but also like to put the work in. Like, they're physically doing this themselves. And when I was in college, I wasn't doing anything like that. I don't know about you. I was trying to think about how I'd start a business or do something else, but never this level. And like they're doing the work themselves, and that is the sign of an entrepreneur. I mean, to me, that is the coolest thing about this is like he's on the ground, going to these places, like picking up tomatoes from restaurants they got to throw out. And I mean, this is such a great idea and such a great way to help people because food banks in general are very understocked in most places. Like, it's always great to have the food drive during like Thanksgiving when everyone does it. But like right now, before you eat, like they usually don't have a lot of food on hand at these places.
Right. And I mean, in the past year, a lot of people who previously never had to go to a food bank suddenly had to. So
100%.
Yeah, there's definitely a need for it. And I think it was really, really smart thinking on his part. And it's one of those where it's like, duh, that makes so much sense, but he put it together and did something good for the community and, not solved, but is helping to work on two problems.
Solving, right? He's
Solving.
presently solving.
He's solving.
I like it. He also like created like a delivery network. I mean, there's a lot of business components here in this. And, the goal that they have is to deliver 2 million pounds of food. Like, that is a lot of food.
That is a lot of food.
I don't think, I'm just thinking about the amount of pounds of food anyone eats. But if it's 100,000 a week and they're looking to go to 1 million, or 2 million, excuse me. I mean, that's a great goal. And, just to have the wherewithal that, hey, there's a problem I can solve, and I'm in college, and it's a really tough time for a lot of people. I mean, Evan, if you're watching,
way to go.
Yeah, awesome job, man. We are going to try to connect with you. Maybe we can get you on the show or do something fun like that. So really, really cool. A lot of credit to him. And it's sharingexcess.com if you want to get involved. Like, there's ways to sponsor and volunteer. So we'll put that up on the video here. Let our man Nick behind the scenes do it. That's what we got this week. So thanks for watching.
Bye.